That's a big win for Jack Drury. Now he'll have the puck. Whip it across. Chance for that shot. Through the rebound, gets up, and it's score! Jack Drury, his first career playoff goal, has Carolina 4-3. Off the draw, Carolina hammers it home. Mr. Net Front, Stefan Noesen, it's 5-3.
Wow. Hi, everyone. I am Adam Gold. Welcome to the Canes Corner podcast, and we are here inside PNC Arena, where my hearing returned sometime in the middle of the second period, then went away again, and is now back. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Ann and his crew do a great job, and invite you to go check them out for all your exterior home improvement needs. All right, deep breaths, everybody. The Hurricanes have made it to round 2 of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Semifinals will begin sometime this weekend. Really don't know when. The Hurricanes, the Rangers, the Florida Panthers, all at the mercy of not only Toronto and Boston, which are going to a game 6 in Toronto, but also whatever happens in the West. And you've got Dallas and Vegas are 2-2. It's possible that one or both of those series that are being played today could extend. If the West got a bunch of game 7s on Sunday, then I guess theoretically it's possible for the Hurricanes and Rangers to start Saturday afternoon. But more than likely we would start either Sunday or Monday. But there's a lot of hockey to be played out West, and we'll see how it all fits in. But anyway, the Hurricanes are through to the second round of the playoffs. And for the 6th straight year, they have won at least one round. You go back to the first year of this, Hurricanes kind of surprised the world, got to the conference finals where they got swept by Boston. The following year was bubble hockey, beat the Rangers in 3 straight. That was after I think New York had swept Carolina in the season series. And everybody, oh, no, there's no way the Hurricanes are going to beat the Rangers. And they did. They swept the Rangers. That was the end, really, of the Henrik Lundqvist era. That was the beginning of Igor Shesterkin, who obviously is amazing. But then they lost to Boston in the next round. That was the only conference quarterfinal they lost. The following year, the strange, wacky pandemic Central, where the Hurricanes beat Nashville in the quarterfinals, then lost to Tampa in the second round. We fast forward once again. 2 years ago, Hurricanes beat Boston here in 7 games, lost in game 7 here to the Rangers, and then last year beat the Islanders, beat the Devils, lost to the Florida Panthers in 4. So how do the Hurricanes put themselves in position to hopefully this time not get swept in a conference finals? We'll talk about it. We got a lot of things I want to get to. The first thing is it's never going to be easy. Never. It is never going to be easy in a playoff series in the NHL. Shouldn't say never, because there are some. I thought the Rangers were deceptively breezy past Washington, although in many of those games, a bounce here or there, and it's completely different. But Washington was never going to beat the Rangers in that series. The truth of the matter is the Capitals aren't that good. They don't have great goaltending. If you had a great goalie, it would be one thing, right? Which is why the Islanders were always going to be a problem. Whether it was Varlamov, who turned out to be the better of the 2 goalies, although he certainly wants the first one back, and he probably wants the Drury goal back. Whether it was going to be him or Sorokin, you knew the Islanders had goaltending that could beat you. I mean, we've seen it before. As it turns out, the Hurricanes had the better goaltender in the series. Frederik Andersen was, for me, and we'll get to it. Really the difference between these two teams in this series. Because let's keep it a buck, shall we? The Hurricanes were better than the Islanders in this series, but not significantly so. Certainly not 4-1 better. I'll go back to the first year, 2019. They weren't 4-0 better than the Islanders. They just happened to win all 4 games. Last year, I actually think they were better than more so last year than they were in the first year, and it goes 6. This kind of felt like this should have been a 6-game series, the way these games were played. Carolina had one huge edge in this series, Game 2. Game 1, Game 3, Game 4, tonight, all could have gone the other way. Like I said, Hurricanes could have swept the series too, and that would have been super deceiving in terms of how much better they were than the Islanders. Now, we know that the Hurricanes are better than the Islanders, but you still have to go out on the ice and show it. And I didn't think Carolina was awesome. We played 16 periods of hockey, basically, in this series. I thought Carolina was significantly the better team, obviously the better team, for maybe 4 of the 16. I'm not saying the Islanders were much better than the Hurricanes for maybe more than 2, but it was pretty even the rest of the way. Carolina won Game 2, thanks to the comeback late. Aho, Martinook scoring 9 seconds apart. And tonight, the Hurricanes scored 8 seconds apart. And it's significant. I want to talk about that sequence as well. We're going to get to that. Because that was, to me, was sort of comical in how it happened. But we'll get to it. But I just want to big picture this. And so we all understand just how fragile it all is to go from a series win to going back to New York for Game 6 when you don't want to, and frankly, you can't afford physically. Carolina taking on some water here. Tony DeAngelo banged up. I think Jordan Staal's okay, but already without Fost. You don't know when Brett Pesce or if Brett Pesce is coming back. I think the team is hopeful that he will be back. And here's where I'll bring it back to this. Remember the bubble hockey year. We talk about, well, the Hurricanes never do anything at the trade deadline. But there was that Brady Skjei deal. Yeah. And it has worked out beautifully because Brady Skjei really has become a core player. And I thought he was dynamite tonight. But Skjei is not traded for if Dougie Hamilton and Brett Pesce are both not hurt. Those 2 injuries necessitated going out and getting Brady Skjei. And he had a lot of term left on his contract, and it actually turned out to be a brilliant, brilliant trade that was almost done not by accident, but absolutely out of necessity. Otherwise, Carolina wasn't going to have enough defensemen to play. So, and they were hopeful that Hamilton, and he did come back, but he wasn't very good, wasn't very effective. They were hopeful that Brett Pesce, if they stuck around long enough, was going to come back. But as it turned out, he was never coming back. And I'm not entirely sure that we're going to see Brett Pesce again in these playoffs, no matter how far Carolina goes. They did say that they think that there is some talk that he could play through whatever is bothering him in his lower body. But again, he's not going to play if he's really compromised, and hopefully they'll catch a break and Tony DeAngelo will be fine. If I was going to guess here, I would say the first player to draw in to the lineup would be Dylan Coghlan. I know everybody's in love with Scott Morrow. He is clearly the future. Dylan Coghlan is not. I don't believe that Rod will put him on the ice unless he has to, and that means that Carolina going primarily with 5 defensemen, which they could do. Carolina's got 5 top-level defensemen right now. With leaving Tony out of it. If Tony is hurt and Tony can't go, Carolina's got 5 top-level defensemen. And I think Dylan Coghlan would be there to just take a few shifts here and there, give somebody a rest. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of Dylan Coghlan on the ice. I think he's there as an insurance policy. And I just don't think Scott Morrow's ready. I mean, I just don't. And they brought up a couple of others. There's Ronan Seeley is also here. Anyway, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, stuff like that. But specifically to the game very quickly. First period, dominant. Absolute dominance by the Hurricanes. And it started 84 seconds in.
Traffic deflected by Teravainen. Rebound will find Jarvis in the shoot, score! A quick shot from the circle. Teuvo Teravainen surprises Varlamov. It's 1-0.
It should not have surprised.
Dynamite in the third period and first overtime.
It was
on Long Island.
It should not have surprised Varlamov. That was a goal he wants back. He wanted a mulligan on it. I promise you. That's one that can't go. Handcuffed him. It was a little tight to shoulder, head, but it's the bad goal to allow. But on that shift, puck retrievals, a couple of them. Jarvis, I think Jarvis both times. And the pass to Teravainen just to the left of the left face-off dot. Not a great goal to allow for Varlamov, but again, good shot by Teravainen, and the building is electric. The next shift, the bump-up shift, actually had the Aho line out on the ice, and Brock Nelson was slashing Aho the entire trip from the Islanders' defensive end all the way down the ice. Just nothing major, nothing that's going to warrant a call, but he's just slashing them. And then Hudson Fasching, I think their plan was to try to get under the skin of Aho, and Hudson Fasching, they called it cross-checking, or I don't know what. I think it was cross-checking what they called. Could have been a trip, could have been, anything. They just dragged him down, and the Hurricanes go on the power play. And the second unit started the power play, didn't do awful, didn't do super great things. And then with speed, Brent Burns finds Jarvis, who finds
Andrei Svechnikov delivering one into the score! Sebastian Aho from Andrei Svechnikov, a power play goal. 2 goals in the first 3 minutes and 13 seconds for Carolina.
The goals were basically a minute 50 apart. I really thought the building was going to come unglued. The goal was not Aho's. It was Svechnikov. It goes off the stick of Robert Bortuzzo. And he's been involved in a lot of things so far in this series, or he was involved in a lot of things in this series. So first goal, bad goal. Second goal, lucky goal. Could Carolina have scored on that sequence anyway? Sure, because Aho was driving to the front of the net. And again, like Mike Maniscalco did there, I thought that it was Aho that deflected the puck through, and it wasn't. It was Bortuzzo. Then the Islanders get a goal. It's the play starts. Actually, I'll let you hear the play. The Kotkaniemi try from the right side of the rink. Great shot. It just
pass is detected. A chance for Kotkaniemi, and he hit the post.
He's done everything but score, Kotkaniemi.
Now D'Angelo hustling back out in front. Anderson! The first shot he sees is a 10-beller, and he makes a 12-bell save.
That is a Goliath timely early stop, because Kotkaniemi hits the iron square. Could have made it 3-0 again. Carolina locating the upper half of the net, and this for Kyle McLean would have given New York all sorts of momentum.
Right. It would have stemmed Carolina's momentum, really. But at the end, you hear Kotkaniemi was called for a slash on McLean. That was a dynamite save by Anderson. And then New York goes to the power play. Coming in, New York had gone 2 for 7 with the man advantage, which great for them, bad for Carolina, who was amazing all year in the penalty kill. And they give up a power play goal to New York to make it 2-1. But on the power play goal, when you go back and you watch it, the shot, which otherwise is easily handled by Freddie, is deflected half of the way through by Jordan Staal. I think it was the stick blade of Staal that got the shot, didn't deflect it high. It deflected it over the shoulder of Anderson. So that's the power play goal that makes it 2-1. And then a few minutes later, and Carolina was dominant in the period. The Islanders did score the goal, though, to make it 2-1 to get people a little bit worried, but Carolina got right back to their game. They forced a scrum in front of the net, and I think it was Alexander Romanov plays the puck with his hand, slides it out of harm's way, but you can't do that in the crease, and it was penalty shot time, and now let's all set our watches. I don't wear a watch, but let's all set our watches and see how long it takes Evgeny Kuznetsov to score.
Now here we go, the whistle, putting the puck in play. And here comes Kuznetsov with the touch and the slowdown over the blue line. Kuznetsov waiting. Varlamov comes out, waiting, dusting it off, waiting, shoots, it scores! And Evgeny Kuznetsov with the penalty shot puts Carolina 3-1.
I have never seen, although I do like the taste, escargot looks so good and dazzling. And Varlamov finally got antsy. And he decides to go for the poke check, and Kuznetsov was just waiting for Varlamov to show his hand first.
So funny. Leave it to Trip Tracy to bring up escargot. It took about 10 seconds for the goal. It took less time for Jack Drury and Stefan Noesen to give Carolina the 2-goal lead back in the third period. But what happens on the penalty shot is Kuznetsov is waiting for Varlamov to make the first move. If Varlamov does nothing, Kuznetsov's got nowhere to go. Nowhere to go at all. But Varlamov eventually, you can see he turns the stick over to go for the poke check, and as soon as he makes the move with the stick, Kuznetsov just snaps it into the net. Easy shot. And it's 3-1. Place goes nuts. 3-1 Hurricanes after one. All that momentum, like 22-4 edge in shots, or 21-4. It was an utterly dominant first period, something similar to what we saw for the last 30 minutes of game number 2, right? But it made you think that, oh boy, that's the way this is going to be. Then the first period ended. The second period started, and that was not the way the game was going to go. Now, again, we already talked about the fact that the Hurricanes had the lucky goal, the Svechnikov goal. Great play, but ultimately goes in off the defender's stick. Then you get the penalty shot. The first goal was a bad goal to allow. The Islanders are like, man, we're probably lucky to just be down 3-1. Again, remember the Kuznetsov, or rather the Kotkaniemi shot off the post. Carolina had plenty of other scoring opportunities in the first period, just couldn't get any others to go. But 3-1 is pretty good. Second period completely flipped. The Islanders came out much harder, much more determined, and much more aggressive. And I don't know if it's Carolina just knowing that the Islanders were going to push. Honestly, I think the Islanders just started off really well, and Carolina had a hard time getting momentum. So it's already 3-1. The goal by Brock Nelson is a mistake in the offensive zone by Jake Guentzel. He loses control of the puck. This was not Guentzel's best game. He loses control of the puck in the corner, and Guentzel's behind the play. Aho was behind the net. All of us, you got two of your forwards like basically out of it. Everybody else is pushing up ice. I think Andrei overskated the puck, overskated the play a little bit defensively. He didn't have to get all the way back and help because I think Dmitry Orlov was the skater there. I forget who the defender was on the in my mind, but everybody was matched up. Andrei could have been more the trailer defender there, but that's not where he was. Again, that's effort, and Andrei got all the way back, so I'm going to credit the effort. But ultimately, the shot from Brock Nelson, using the, like for Tar Heel fans, it was like Carolina's secondary break. He's just the trailer man there. The shot gets deflected by Jalen Chatfield. Anderson's going to make the stop. The shot gets deflected, lower, 5-hole, goal, 3-2. The goal at the end of the period, that was probably Carolina's worst moment because there were turnovers and mistakes behind their own end. And even still, Anderson had to fall down and not be able to even physically make a save for the Islanders to score. So all three Islanders goals, two deflected goals off Carolina sticks, and then Anderson down and out on his rear end, Casey Zizekas into an empty net. Those are the three goals. Kind of lucky. Again, I thought Anderson played pretty well. Not his best game of the series. I thought, honestly, game 4 wasn't great, but last half of game 1, game 3 when he needed to be, and game number 4, or rather game 3, I thought were Anderson's best games of the series. So, but Freddie had to come up with some good saves tonight. But the 3 goals, I can't fault him on any of them. 0. If you want to fault him for falling over, I guess you can. I'm not. But then, third period starts. It's 3-3. The late period goal really hurts, right? Because you take that, you wear that in the locker room, and then you come out for the third period. And the third period, the start of the third, looked a lot like the second. And I actually tweeted that out. I kid you not. I said the first 4.5 minutes of this third period looked like an extension of the second, where the Islanders controlled the play. And it wasn't like they were dominant. It was just they were in control. And Carolina was doing a lot of defending. Couldn't get to their forecheck. So it looked the way it did. 4 minutes and 30 seconds of it. And then there was that defensive zone draw. Jack Drury wins it. The puck comes out. Carolina's in transition. Drury to Skjei. The shot blocked. Bounces over Jean-Gabriel Pageau's stick. Right to Drury. Short side. Beats Varlamov, who was there. It wasn't like Varlamov couldn't get over. He was square. He just didn't have the post covered. Drury beat him near side. Unacceptable goal. So Varlamov has allowed 2 goals tonight that he wants back. And when you're trying to stay in a series against a team that's better than you, those are the goals that get you beat. Again, not criticizing. They're not bad. Well, the first one's a bad goal. I'm sorry. The second one's not that Drury goal is not a bad goal, but it's one you got to have. Especially, again, you're not the better team. You need to win the battle of the goaltenders, and you lost it tonight because of two goals that you probably could have done better with. Then the bump-up shift, and then the dagger. Because what happens in the bump-up shift is sort of similar, different but similar, to what happened in Game 2. Remember the Aho extra attacker goal. Side of the net, tip in, goal 3-3. Carolina gets the bump-up shift. Staal wins it. Drury is on the right side at this point, and Drury cycles it behind the net. Martinook and Staal are converging on it. Martinook gets to it first. Noah Dobson was the defender for the Islanders behind Varlamov in that play. And Dobson, I think, panicked, lost the puck. He got big boyed off it by Martinook. And Varlamov thought the puck was coming out the other side. Martinook just came out in front. It wasn't clean, but it got through. It actually banked in off the skate of Varlamov. And that was the goal that gave Carolina the 4-3 lead. And then, in this game, after Drury makes it 4-3 Carolina, Carolina's bump-up shift is the bottom line, Kuznetsov, Kotkaniemi, and Noesen. They win the draw. Skjei has the puck. He's doing a hard rim around, but he does it high, so it's off the glass. Varlamov makes the mistake of going behind the net. It hits one of the stanchions. It caroms straight out across the goal line, actually hits the post, and pops out in front. And Varlamov was not quick enough to get from behind the net to in front. Steph Noesen coming in off the other side just tapped it into an empty net. And Carolina got back-to-back lucky goals in a 3-3 hockey game. This is how close this series was. Tonight, Carolina was great in the first period, good in stretches of the third. The best part of Carolina's game was after it got to 5-3, not before. After it got to 5-3, I thought the Hurricanes were pretty good the rest of the way. But this was a game at 3-3 entering the third that could have gone the way of the Islanders, and we would have lost our minds if we had to go back to New York and play another game. We already talked about the injury situations, and hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully there will not be any casualties out of this game, but the Hurricanes did ultimately come through. I want to give you my 3 stars of the series. We can debate these all day long, can't we? Third star of the series, Seth Jarvis. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. Second star of the series, Andrei Svechnikov. A goal, 4 assists, 5 points. I thought he was Carolina's best forward, start to finish, and it makes you go, just wait until everybody else starts clicking into gear, meaning the top line, which I'll debate this all day. I thought Aho was very good in the series. I thought Andrei was great in the series. I thought Jake Guentzel struggled the last couple of games. I thought tonight was a particularly off night for Jake. He struggled defensively. He gave the puck away in that first. I'm not going to bang it, go nuts. I am not worried about Jake Guentzel, but it wasn't a great game for Guentzel. I thought Aho was good. I thought the only game that Aho wasn't good, and not even wasn't good, I thought he was okay, except for going 3 out of 18 in the faceoff circle, was game 4. I thought he was just okay in game 4. I thought he was good in game 1. I didn't think he was great, but I thought he was good. I thought he was excellent defensively. Games 2 and game 3, I thought were really good Sebastian Aho performances. And tonight, I thought was good. But they didn't get a lot of offensive production at 5-on-5 from that top line. They have not scored a goal. Guentzel, Aho, Svechnikov have been honestly dominant in every other way, but have not scored a goal. But they were all minus players tonight. I don't know if Andrei was, because maybe he was. But I think Aho was a -2 tonight. Or actually, he probably brought one back with the empty net goal, because I think he was on the ice with Jarvis. Anyway, it's a long way of saying that the Hurricanes won this series without great offensive input from their top line. They won it. They scored 5 power play goals, 5 out of 15, 5 out of 15 on the power play. They gave up 3, but I think ultimately, and it's not great, the 2 big penalty kills the rest of the way were super important for them. I also think it'll give them a little confidence. And the last 2 penalty kills I thought were maybe the 2 best that they've had in the entire series. And by the way, I gave Jarvis 3rd star, Svechnikov 2nd star. Do we have to have a debate? Frederik Andersen was the 1st star of the series. He wins games 1 and 3. I didn't think he was awesome in the first half of game 1, but he was in the second half of game 1. Let's not forget at 1-1, the save he makes on Noah Dobson in game 1, right? Seat of his pants, 2-hand save, stick on the ice, incredible save. And then in game 3, he does it again to Dobson in a game that is tight, could go either way. So I just think that Anderson was the Carolina's best player start to finish in this series. He played all 5 and won 4 of them. So he is my first star of the series. Let's talk about the biggest difference, and then we'll jump out of here. And I can't wait for the next round because the Rangers series, we'll have to jump back on here and kind of preview that series. But I just want to talk for a second about what we saw for the most part in this series. Makes you wish that you would have had him a year ago, but man, it is so awesome to see this version of Andrei Svechnikov. First of all, there's more. As good as he was in this series, I think you can tell that there's more. Tonight could have been one of those Andrei games. He got foiled by, I think it was Mike Riley defensively, where he probably should have kept the puck on his backhand. It would have protected the shot. Shot would have been a little bit more difficult for him, but I mean, he can make a backhand. And you could actually be more deceptive on the backhand. But he brought it to his forehand and he made it an easier defensive play for Riley. This was late. I think this was third period. There was that, but he had a couple of plays where he was just dancing through the Islanders' defense, and it might have been Varlamov's best save. And I think that was a backhand too, and he got it with the blocker and just deflected it high. But I mean, he just lit the building on fire tonight. You see the physicality, you see the offensive ability, the playmaking ability, the speed that he plays with, the confidence when it's going well. And you go, yes, that is what they missed last year. That's what they didn't have in the series against the Florida Panthers. I realized they didn't have him in the Devils series or the Islanders series either. I get it. But against the Panthers, you have to have that element. And he brought that element tonight. He was the best player in the game. If he didn't step on the ice after the first period, he was the best player. And again, he's been their best forward, I think, in the entire series. A wise man told me a couple of years ago, and this is not to be taken as a knock on Sebastian Aho. The Hurricanes need to get to a place where he's not the best player, where maybe it's Andrei. Okay. I think Aho is the best player, but he doesn't have to be the best offensive player. He's going to get his points. Going to get them. And I'll bring it like this because this is who I think Aho is most like. I think Aho is most like Nicklas Backstrom. And I think he's got playmaking ability. He might be better than Nicklas Backstrom. Playmaking ability. He's obviously a goal scorer, and he can score. He's going to score 40 next year or the year after. He might score 50 at one point. Heck, if they put a legit top-line sniper on his wing, Jake Guentzel is going to score a lot of goals. If they bring Guentzel back, that line might all go for 90, 95 points. But Andrei can take it to a place where even Sebastian can't go to. Andrei's not going to do that consistently like Sebastian is, a more consistent, I always call him gumbo. Slow heat. You don't realize right away how spicy it is, and then all of a sudden your mouth's on fire. To me, that's Aho. But I think Andrei, man, he could take it to the next level. And we saw a lot of that. Not all of it, a lot of it in the first round. So with all of that said, that was a fun series. Carolina was good in the faceoff circle tonight. The home team dominated the faceoffs in every single game of this series. Not quite to what the Islanders did in Game 4, but the home team decisively won the face-off battle in every game of this series. Hurricanes, in a way, got away with it, but you'll take it and move on. And you don't want to peak in the first round, right? Rangers are up next. Means a reunion with Vincent Trocheck, a reunion for them with Brady Skjei, Tony DeAngelo, knock on wood, health willing. And I guess Jordan Staal is okay. I guess he took a skate to the stalls. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully it'll be okay. Apparently somebody said he took a skate so like we'll just say to the Staal family tree. I'll just leave it at that. But survive in advance, baby, to borrow from the late, great Jim Valvano. Rangers are next, and we'll see what happens going forward. So wasn't that fun? I am Adam Gold. Thanks for hanging out. This is the Canes Corner podcast. We do this all the time after every Hurricanes game on YouTube. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. I apologize for not answering questions, but shouts to you down under, Adelaide, Perth, Alaska. I know we have an Alaska contingent, Virginia Beach, Hawaii, wherever you're listening. I appreciate it. You can always follow me on Twitter at AGoldFan. Comments, we'll get to comments again down the road, I promise. But you can always send your thoughts through Twitter, and we'll get to them. It was fun, and now the real work begins, beating the Rangers in round 2. Something you couldn't get done here. And by the way, first series, I kid you not, there was no home ice advantage in bubble hockey. First time the Hurricanes will not start a playoff series on home ice since they started in Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019. They've had home ice advantage for every other series where you were on home ice since. Pretty amazing, huh? That's where this franchise is. Thank you, Rod Brindamore, for that. All right, we'll talk to everybody down the road. I appreciate your time. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job, and we thank them, and we thank you, and we will see you next time on the Canes Corner podcast.